The gorilla's hand is already around his neck. 1 second, Marcus is walking across the straw-covered floor with a bucket of fruit, and the next, he's on his stomach, face smashed into dirt, air vanishing. A 400-pound silverback pins him down, breath hot against his ear. Staff scream, radios crackle to life. Kaijo doesn't roar, he doesn't pound his chest. He's silent, focused, his thick arm pressed across Marcus's shoulders, the weight alone enough to crush ribs. Marcus's vision pulses. He gasps for air, fingers clawing at the ground. He can't move. Just outside the enclosure, 2 junior keepers freeze in terror. "He's attacking," one shouts, but no one dares enter. Protocol is clear. Never intervene during direct contact. A breach could escalate everything. They can only watch. Kaijo tightens his grip. Marcus hears nothing but blood pounding in his ears. His chest flattens with each breath. The pain in his neck is blinding. 1,000 thoughts flash through his mind, mostly regret. Not for entering, but for missing the subtle shift. Kaijo had been still. Too still. Kaijo shifts again, lowering his full weight. Marcus lets out a strained, rasping cry, his last attempt to scream. And then everything stops. Kaijo freezes. No growl, no motion, just a heavy pause. Marcus's arms twitch, useless. But then he feels it. Kaijo's hand loosens. Marcus gasps, a full breath. It burns like fire down his throat. He doesn't move, doesn't dare. The silverback slowly lifts his weight. Not fully, just enough to let Marcus turn his face sideways and gulp another breath. Dust coats his lips. Sweat runs into his eyes. Then Kaijo does the unthinkable. He backs up, he rises onto all fours and steps away, moving toward the edge of the habitat. Still silent, still calm. Marcus lies there, coughing weakly, staring into the dirt. His lungs rattle, his limbs tremble. He's alive. But why? 2 keepers rush in with poles and emergency packs, shouting, "Don't move!" they cry. "We're coming!" Kaijo doesn't react. He sits down near the boulder, arms resting over his knees, head slightly bowed, like nothing happened. Paramedics rush Marcus out through the side gate. His shirt is torn at the collar, neck mottled with bruises, but he's conscious, breathing. In the med van, someone asks, "What happened? Did he lose control?" Marcus doesn't answer right away. He remembers the eyes, Kaijo's eyes. Not wild, not furious, searching. He swallows hard. "That wasn't an attack," he whispers. "That was something else." Back in the habitat, Kaijo doesn't move. He watches the gate, waiting. The footage loops in silence. A 400-pound silverback lunges. The zookeeper hits the ground, and then Kaijo stops. Again and again, staff replay the moment, trying to find what triggered it, trying to believe what they saw. Marcus lies in a hospital bed, neck wrapped in gauze, a pulse oximeter on his finger. His vitals are stable, but his thoughts are anything but. "He didn't want to hurt me," he keeps saying. He chose not to. Zoo leadership isn't convinced. "He tackled you," says Director Fallon. "That's not a greeting." Marcus doesn't budge. Something was different. He looked right at me. It was like he recognized me. Then he backed off. Fallon gestures to the monitor. "You were seconds from asphyxiation." In the footage, Kaijo's eyes flash, not with rage, but with confusion. He pins. He freezes. Then his whole body hesitates. Timmy, the head behaviorist, leans forward. "There's a gap," he says, "between the pounce and the release." He didn't continue the attack. He paused. They rewatch the slow-motion clip. There's a moment, barely visible, when Kaijo jerks his head sideways, nostrils flaring, almost like something startled him. What did he see? Timmy wonders aloud. Later that day, an intern named Elena approaches the team with a shaky tablet. "This might sound weird," she says, "but Kaijo did this exact motion once before, about 3 years ago." "What motion?" She rewinds old enrichment footage. There's Kaijo, smaller, younger, suddenly leaping onto a tree platform and pinning another young gorilla. Same grip, same weight, same paws. No injuries, Elena says. It looked aggressive, but it wasn't. Afterwards, they groomed each other. Timmy squints. Was that before or after his transfer to San Diego? Before, Elena replies, about a month before he was sent. A ripple goes through the room. Marcus looks up slowly. Kaijo was transferred back here from San Diego a year ago. Fallon frowns. What are you getting at? Timmy turns to Marcus. Did you have contact with Kaijo when he was young? Marcus hesitates. Yeah, I helped raise him. Bottle-fed him for nearly a year after he was orphaned. Silence. He was barely 2 when he left. I didn't think he'd remember me. Elena speaks up. What were you wearing back then? Same hat? Marcus looks down at the crushed ball cap sitting on the desk. Faded navy, torn brim, same one he wore that day in the enclosure. Every day, he says. They pause the clip again. Zoom in. Kaijo's eyes lock onto the hat before he lunges. Fallon murmurs, You think he recognized you, but didn't understand why? Timmy nods. Recognition without context is dangerous. Memory flashes, no frame to place them in. Marcus leans forward. I need to see him again. Everyone stares. You're kidding, Fallon says. He didn't hurt me. Not really. He froze. Something stopped him. We're not risking another attack. I'm not afraid, Marcus interrupts. Pause. Timmy steps in. If Kaijo's brain glitched, if he recognized Marcus but didn't know why, we have to give him the missing piece. Fallon folds her arms. You're seriously suggesting exposure therapy with a gorilla? Marcus says nothing. He just picks up the hat. Outside, Kaijo sits in his enclosure, waiting again. The metal gate clanks shut behind Marcus. His footsteps echo through the corridor toward the observation room. Staff on the other side watch through triple reinforced glass. Tension, drawn tight as wire. He isn't wearing a uniform, just jeans, boots, and the same navy hat Kaijo stared at the moment everything went wrong. Inside the enclosure, Kaijo stirs. His eyes fix on Marcus the moment he steps into view. Careful, Timmy whispers through the mic. Approach slowly, don't speak, let him initiate. Marcus does. He walks into the soft straw flooring, stopping a few feet from the spot where Kaijo had pinned him. This time, there's no fruit bucket, no tools, just memory. Kaijo stands. His chest rises. His massive hands curl at his sides. Marcus slowly takes off the cap and kneels. He lays the hat in front of him like an offering, then lowers his gaze. Breath held. Kaijo steps forward. 1 pace, 2, then stops. For 5 seconds, nothing moves. The air hums. Then Kaijo lets out a sound, low, breathy, almost like a sigh. He squats down, eyes never leaving the hat. His nostrils flare. Marcus glances up and sees it. Recognition, not panic, not dominance. Memory. Kaijo reaches out and touches the brim, softly. Flashback, 7 years ago. Marcus cradles a baby gorilla in his arms, gently feeding with a long-necked bottle. The infant clings to his jacket, lips smacking hungrily. Beside him, a radio hums. He's humming too, low, repetitive, soothing. A tune Kaijo used to hear during every feeding. Back in the present, Kaijo's hand presses against the hat. His lips part. A deep, throaty sound escapes, a call Marcus hasn't heard since Kaijo was an infant. The same one he made after feedings. A bonding sound. Marcus chokes back a breath. He slowly begins humming. The same tune. Software steady. Kaijo leans in. Their foreheads nearly touch the dirt. Then, Kaijo does something no one expects. He presses his head down against Marcus's, gently, deliberately. The entire room watching gasps. It's not submission. It's memory. Marcus doesn't move. Tears pool in his eyes. He whispers, I remember you too. Kaijo's body relaxes. He makes another low sound, a soft exhale, and sits beside Marcus, hand resting on the ground between them. The attack wasn't rage, it was confusion, a body that remembered something the mind hadn't caught up to: the hat, the smell, the posture. Pieces of an old connection firing all at once and misfiring in the moment. Marcus strokes the dusty floor with his fingertips. "You didn't fail me," he says. "I failed you. I should have said your name." Kaijo leans closer. There is no fear, only a long-lost bond, finally resurfaced, and two hearts, one human, one animal, remembering who they are to each other. The enclosure is silent, except for the rhythmic hum of breath and straw rustling under shifting weight. Marcus sits cross-legged, unmoving. Kaijo rests beside him, one arm extended, hand loosely curled like he's remembering how to hold something he once lost. The observation team watches in breathless awe. Is this a memory loop, a behaviorist whispers, or a reunion? Kaijo shifts again, not away from Marcus. He moves closer. Then comes the moment no one expected. Kaijo reaches toward Marcus's chest, slowly, intentionally, and presses his knuckles against the navy shirt. Not striking, not threatening. It's the same gesture infant gorillas make when seeking reassurance. Timmy nearly drops his radio. That's attachment behavior. Marcus doesn't flinch. He nods slowly and places his hand over Kaijo's. "I'm still here, bud," he whispers. "You're not alone." Then Kaijo does something no protocol could have prepared them for. He mimics Marcus's old calming signal, a slow, exaggerated blink. A behavior Marcus used during bottle feedings years ago, an unspoken, "You're safe." Marcus blinks back. The two sit in perfect stillness, connected by time, memory, and something that defies science. A quiet voice crackles through the intercom. "Should we intervene?" "No," Timmy says, voice tight. "Don't break this." Kaijo leans in. He presses his forehead to Marcus's. It's not a gesture of submission. It's ceremony. The same one they shared in the early days when Marcus was the only family the orphaned infant had. The same one Kaijo repeated during nighttime feedings, back when his world was warm, bottles, quiet songs, and one human voice. Now, years later, that voice is here again, and he remembers. Marcus begins humming, the same soft, steady melody. Kaijo lets out a vibrating purr, deep and full-bodied. It fills the enclosure like thunder wrapped in a lullaby. Visitors outside have gathered, unaware of the history unfolding within. Kaijo turns his head. For the first time in days he stands, but instead of walking away, he does something no one sees coming. He reaches down and gently grabs Marcus's hat from the ground. Then, with the utmost care, he lifts it and places it in Marcus's lap. A gift returned, a memory honored. Marcus's throat tightens. He places the hat back on his head, and Kaijo grunts in approval. The tension that once defined their interaction has melted into something sacred, not training, not instinct, trust. Kaijo finally backs away, returning to the boulders with slow, powerful grace. He doesn't look back. He doesn't need to. The bond has been restored. Marcus rises slowly, brushing dust from his knees. He turns to the glass, where the staff stands frozen in awe. "I think we got our answer," he says, voice hoarse. Back in his corner, Kaijo lays down, arms crossed, eyes closed. For the first time in days, he sleeps. The video spreads across the internet like wildfire, a massive silverback gently pressing his forehead to a human's. A zookeeper, his neck once nearly crushed, sitting peacefully beside the very creature that nearly ended him. No bars, no sedatives, no fear. The world doesn't know what to make of it. Headlines scream, "Gorilla attacks," then embraces. Zookeeper survives mauling, reunites with long-lost animal. Kaijo remembers. Inside the zoo, the narrative is quieter. Kaijo is calm now, playful even. He grooms with the troop, vocalizes more often, responds to his name again. The aggression that defined him for months has vanished, not suppressed, but soothed. Behaviorists reevaluate everything. "We were wrong," Timmy says during a press interview. "This wasn't a breakdown. It was memory, reactivated." Marcus refuses the spotlight, but he does agree to one interview with a wildlife publication. He tells them about the bottle feedings, the lullabies, the bonding rituals, how Kaijo was just a wide-eyed orphan once, trembling in his arms, how he thought that bond had disappeared when Kaijo was transferred away. But it didn't disappear, Marcus says. It just went quiet. The journalist asks what Kaijo's attack meant. Marcus hesitates. It wasn't an attack. It was a scream of recognition, trapped in a body too strong and a mind too confused to understand it. The footage is reviewed by primate experts around the globe. Some dismiss it as coincidence, but most don't. New research begins on trauma retention in primates, on recognition of early caregivers, on the emotional layers animals carry long after we stop noticing. The zoo installs a new display outside Kaijo's enclosure. It features two images, Zrenia one of Marcus holding a tiny baby gorilla to his chest. Zrenia one of Kaijo returning his hat. The plaque beneath reads, "Some memories can't be trained out. Some bonds never forget." Visitors leave in quiet reverence. Inside the enclosure, Kaijo thrives. He greets Marcus every morning now with a low purr and a slow blink. Marcus never enters without permission, but he doesn't need to anymore. Kaijo always comes to him. In a special lecture weeks later, Marcus stands before a full audience of aspiring zookeepers. He holds up the navy cap, now stitched and faded. "This nearly got me killed," he says, "and it also saved my life." Laughter, but also silence. Then he adds, "If you think animals can't remember you, be careful. One day they might prove you wrong." Back in the gorilla yard, Kaijo sits beneath his favorite tree, watching, not guarding, not waiting, just remembering. And this time, he remembers everything. What happened between Marcus and Kaijo wasn't a miracle. It was memory, resurfacing through instinct, confusion, and something deeper than words. A near tragedy turned into a reunion, a violent moment unraveled into something sacred. Kaijo didn't attack out of hate. He remembered out of love. And when recognition finally broke through the fog of years and distance, it brought not just peace but proof. Proof that animals don't forget the ones who cared for them, even if the world tells us they should. Drop a comment. Have you ever seen an animal recognize someone after years apart? Like this video if Kaijo's story changed how you see gorillas or memory itself. Share this story, because trust lost can be found again, even when it weighs 400 pounds. Subscribe for more real animal stories that reveal what lies beneath the surface, because sometimes the most human thing you'll ever see doesn't come from a human at all.